after expelling Christianity from its borders, Japan entered an unprecedented era which changed world history. The opening of Japan to the West, on Moments in Minutes. Following the expulsion of foreign and Japanese Christians after the Shimabara Revolt in 1637-1638, Japan officially closed its borders to all outside countries, except for limited contact with China, Korea, and the Netherlands. In the 19th century, increased trade with China and commercial whaling brought many Western ships into close proximity with Japan. The Japanese doubled their efforts to defend their territory by proclaiming a prohibition edict, which banned all contact with any foreigners, and this lasted until 1842. However, Japanese military technology was insufficient to cope with the increased foreign presence around Japan. After the ease of the British victory over China in the Opium War of 1840, debate raged within Japanese elite circles about whether to use foreign technology and techniques to overcome the increased foreign threat. This threat became a reality when an American naval squadron entered Tokyo Bay on July 1st, 1853, under the command of Commodore Matthew Perry. No, not Friends Matthew Perry. Commodore Matthew. No, not the model Matthew Perry. Commodore Matthew Perry. Thank you. After the Japanese refused to negotiate with Perry, he ordered his ships to fire blank shots across the harbour to prove his willingness to fight. He was allowed to land at Kurihama Beach and presented a letter to the Japanese from the American government ordering Japan to open itself to American trade or face the consequences and the wrath of the American Navy. Perry then left for Hong Kong, awaiting a Japanese reply. On the 13th of February 1854, Perry returned with a 10-ship force and, despite resistance, landed at Yokohama on March the 8th, 1854. Perry and Akira Hayashi, the Japanese representative, signed the Treaty of Kanagawa, which opened the ports of Nagasaki, Shimoda, and Hakodate to American whalers to resupply, but kept the previous trade prohibition in place. Russia soon followed with the Treaty of Shimoda, which opened the same ports to Russian ships, established Russian consuls in Japan, and defined the borders between Japan and Russia. These developments caused such political, social, and economic upheaval that the shogunate that had ruled Japan for over 5 centuries was abolished, and imperial rule over Japan was restored on January the 3rd, 1868. The opening of Japan to the West was a pivotal moment in the history of the modern world. The Meiji Restoration that resulted from it transformed Japan into the most dominant force in Asia at the turn of the 20th century. After acknowledging the massive technological gap between it and the West after the Restoration, Japan began a rapid modernization program which revolutionized their productive, economic, and military capabilities. Their ambition to form a new empire saw them defeat Russia in the Russo-Japanese War, conquer Korea and Manchuria, before launching their campaign to conquer the Asia-Pacific region that ended in defeat to the United States in the Pacific War of 1942 to 1945. Yet even with the end of their empire, Japan still managed to resurrect its entrepreneurial spirit of the Meiji Restoration in the post-war period, rapidly expanding their technological and manufacturing output. The economic miracle that lasted until the end of the Cold War was created through manufacturers, suppliers, distributors, and banks working in close-knit groups alongside a powerful and highly unionized workforce, and spurred on by sound government policy. In the fields of consumer electronics, high-speed rail, and automobile production, Japan has come to dominate world markets, and Japanese products make up 70% of video game and console markets in Asian countries such as Taiwan and China. While most of this current growth can be attributed to the post-war economic miracle and the post-war economic boom, its roots can be traced back much further to Commodore Matthew Perry's... No, not that Matthew Perry. That Matthew Perry's fateful excursion into Tokyo Bay in 1853. After being dragged kicking and screaming into international trade in the mid-19th century, Japan has gone on to become one of the central powers of global trade and one of the strongest economies in the world. Thank you so much for your time today. Moments in Minutes is a channel dedicated to making history more accessible to you, the modern day scholar. We give you the what and the how, and more importantly the why of history. Why it matters and why it's important to you. If you have any historical events that you would like me to cover in future videos, please leave a comment in the section below. And don't forget to subscribe to Moments in Minutes, creating history every week.